Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's October 23rd. This will be our chart lesson for today, and this is Thursday, so this will wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Fridays. Quick look at our daily chart. As you can see, we're still in this uptrend. We did make a higher low here, and we trended higher and traded higher again today. We've got some strong resistance right across here on this daily chart, so we haven't been able to get through that yet. Maybe tomorrow we'll push on through. We'll have to see. But it does look like the uptrend is continuing on for now. So, um, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't keep working sideways or even try to go back, turn lower again. But most likely we should try to push higher first. Now, we may find that strong resistance and can't get through it and turn back down or go sideways. But I would think that prices, we talked about that yesterday. I told you I thought prices would probably try to continue to push higher and test these highs again. And here we are. I mean, this trend line is still intact. There's no reason to think this trend is over yet, at least by what we see so far. Yeah, it's struggling to go higher at these prices, especially with all that's going on. But there's just a lot of things happening out there all around the world that make this market a little nervous for the moment. So we've definitely taken all of this move back now. We really had already taken it back, but it's looking as if we're going to surpass that and make new highs here soon. So that's my guess, but nothing's written in stone, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But anyway, there it is on the daily chart. Very bullish day, and when we move over to the 2000 tick chart, which we'll do now, you'll see that it's a big two-tiered channel working up, and we just worked higher all day. And here it is, and you can see we had this first leg up with a correction. We made this higher low, and then it took a little while, and it took a lot more price action, but notice we made almost a perfect measured move up. And that's what we try to look for, these measured moves. There might even be one from here to here. You can see that's real close as well. So, and there was a little two-legged move here. There's probably others in here. I don't always show these, but they give you nice areas to shoot for targets. So always keep these in mind. But you can see the spike up into this two-tiered channel that just worked higher all day. And we closed near the highs. So real quickly while I'm thinking about it, since I noticed this up here, there's a small update to this chart button here. And all it does is it adds color. You can change the color of the boxes here. I changed mine to red. Black is fine. But some people might like it to be a little different color. So if you want to change it, you have that option now to change that color to whatever you like. You just want something that's contrasting on there, and black's fine. But if you got a darker chart, you probably need to change it. You might want it to be white or I like the red. It's a little more contrasting to me, so I use the red, and now it kind of matches these buttons. So I do like that the buy gives you green and the sell gives you red too there. Yeah, that file has been updated. If you want to download it and change it, I will tell you that you have to delete the other one. So go into your delete option and delete it out. Because if you I tried to install it over the other one, and it does ask me to replace the old one, but it still didn't. It didn't actually do that, even though it appeared that it did, and I couldn't find the colors option. So I went back in and deleted the original one, and then opened the secondary one, but the new file back up, and it was working. So make sure you delete the old one first. But let's get to the chart here. Very good trading day. Lots of good setups here. Lots of easy to find setups. I mean, it was a consistent trend all day. You didn't really get this trend confirmed here until you might argue that it was confirmed here, but I think you needed another touch to know for sure, and that didn't come till almost 11 o'clock. So I didn't have this two-tiered channel on my original chart. It didn't look It just didn't look right, but it come to find out it's there and it's valid. Um, so it is what it is. So, um, but let's zoom in here a little bit. And you can see 7 o'clock came as we're dropping down right in here. I think it was maybe this bar. Yep, 7 o'clock came on that bar. And this is really working sideways, but we'd already had a possible close outside up here. It's so close, I don't know if I'd call it one, but we definitely got one here with a new low, and then we made a higher low. And the other thing was we had some previous support down near here. So I like going long there. It's a triple test. That's the big thing is you got a triple test. Um, so break above that far away from the EMA. We're probably at least going back to the EMA even if we do make another leg down. So I like going long there. Runs up, pulls back, runs up. It looks like we're only going to have a two-legged move. That is actually a second entry short right there. I didn't mark it, but notice the new low. You could treat this like a new low. So first entry, second entry. I'm going to go ahead and mark it at least green. It's way away from the EMA, so the odds are it's probably going to come back at some point. And on the second entry and this is a relatively, 8 ticks, relatively small bar. So, and a good bit of room back to the EMA. So I like that one. I'm not going to mark it red, but I do think it deserves to be blue. And then there's actually a failure here, but you don't really have this trend line confirmed, so I think it's too risky to take a failure at that point. That's not really where you look for one. Now you do have what you call a continuation failure, but this trend line starts here. And somebody will probably ask me, well, why did you start there? What made you decide to start there? Well, you had two legs up, and generally that's going to be a reversal. And when it doesn't, usually another trend will start up. You might try it from here as well, just to see if it fits, or even try it from down here. But you can see it doesn't really work down here. So maybe you go ahead and you try it from here, and you see it's not really working from there either. You might have started off with that. So I start from here, and you can see that one works pretty dang well. Fits well. The whole idea is that it should fit your price action, and it should fit it neatly. And when I say neatly, prices should turn, when they touch the trend line, turn up. And when they touch the upper trend channel line, which this is just a tad lower, prices should turn down. And you can see that's what's happening there. Turns down, turns down, turns down, turns down. So we got a good fit there. And that's what you're looking for. And that's when you know you got it right. So anyway, we got a new trend working up. There's a second entry here, but this is just sideways, and you can't go long right here into the highs. So skip that one. This is just the first entry. Now there is a second entry here. But this was an engulfing bar. I'd wait for it to close, and it closes too neutral and too close to the highs. And you already had a little break here. So I would just sit tight on that one. The prices run on up, and you get a first entry. And you do get a lower high here, but no setup. I don't think you don't want to go short there. And you're working down. And finally, you do get a second entry here, but it's also a failed breakout of this range and a lower high from this one. So I like entering there. You don't know that it's going to take off and make a big move, but you would expect it to at least come to the other side. And you probably don't get a runner here unless if you were conservative, you don't get a runner. But if you gave it a little room, you'd probably get a runner there. But you did have a close outside. Now you're working lower. And notice here you get a first entry and then a second entry plus a lower high. Big, nice signal bar. I like going short there. This was the first entry, and we've already had a break now and a couple of legs down. So any new entry here, unless it's a really, really good setup, starting to become suspect. So you got to be careful. But notice too where we bounced here, right where we already had several touches right there off that. That's the open from today. We tested it 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times, and then made a higher low, and you've also are bouncing right off that trend line working up there. Or at least I would have drawn it off this one, and then it closes inside this one again. So I like going long there. I think that's a great setup, and you can see you easily get a runner here, and that might be the only trade you need today. You actually get a second entry up here, and and notice you're working up first entry. Actually, it's a second entry there, so that's like a third entry. I think you need a lower high here. It's a long way away from the EMA. It is a double top across there. I just think you need a lower high on this one, and you don't get that till here, and you can't take it. Maybe you make that green. But notice what's happening. You're working down. You get a first entry, a second entry, and you get a close outside, then a move to a new low, and then it reverses. I like going long there because you've got this possible trend line working up here. But more than anything, this one's played out and this one coming down is playing out, so you probably get a new trend working up. And so I like going long there. And of course, you do get a new trend. Close outside, move to a new high, and it's like a third entry, but it's a move to a new high and it turns down. You definitely need a lower high to consider it for red, but I still like entering there because it looks like it's going to trap some longs right there, and you're way away from the EMA, so it's one you may take. And you actually get 2 legs down. I didn't draw this one, but there's a trend line here. It works down, close outside new low, and then it reverses and pushes up to another new high. I didn't mark this one, but again, you got to close outside and a new high. You're better off. It's just a first entry. Maybe you argue for it to be green, but I think you need a lower high here, and you don't get it. And of course, you run down here, and you get a triple test. It's a big bar. It's like 19 ticks, but notice it's a first entry, second entry, when it goes past this bar, but you're going to use this one, which makes an equal low. I still like going long there. There's plenty of room back to the high. And you make a lower high here, but no signal bar. You can see that bar's not any good. And then you make a little two-legged correction, so that's a second entry short, but no setup. But there's a good chance you're going to get another leg down, which you do, and it actually breaks out here and fails on a failed breakout. And notice too, you got a close outside of the channel working down and a new low. So this is probably going to be a failed break lower if it breaks higher there. So I like going long there. Again, you're better off to wait on the higher low, which comes over here and is too far gone there. But you do get a failure here. And this is still, you can consider this a higher low off the support area. And so I like going long there. This line should actually be a little bit higher here. And you can see that's close to that support line. So I like going long there off just a pull back to test the support, and it tends to hold. It actually turns early, and I mean that's pretty bullish. You were selling off all the way to here, and then for it to beat it, the buyers to beat it all the way back up to here and close on its very high, that's bullish. Go long above that if it breaks, and it does. And we get a failed breakout out the top side, but it doesn't trigger. But then we make a lower high, so if it breaks below that, go with it. Again, there's another second entry here. You couldn't go short there even if you had a good signal bar, even though it drops down. And guess where it turns up? Right at the key entry point. And that's 2 measured legs down. You can see it right there. 2 perfect measured legs down with a little two-legged swing in the middle. That's generally the middle of the pattern. And when it moves down here, when it bounces off the key entry point, again, it's a bullish bar, closes almost on its high. I like going long there. And off it goes. You don't get a higher low on this one either, but I think with that being off of that key entry point and confirming it right here, I think you're fine on that, especially with the 2 legs back. And this turns out to be another good move up. And it runs right out the other side and fails and turns down. You get a big bearish bar. It's just a first entry, and there's no close outside the trend line or anything. It's a failed breakout. It's way away from the EMA. There's a little bit of room back to the support resistance in case it holds. So I like going short there. And it ends up bouncing off this key entry point here. And you actually get a higher low, which if this would have been a little better signal bar, maybe you consider going long on that second entry. But the way it sits there, it's just an inside bar and a doji. I just don't think you can take it. So it runs up, comes back, bounces right at the key entry point again. But again, it's a first entry. And then we run to a new high, and you actually get a close outside. I don't think that's convincing enough. I think you need a more convincing close, and you see you get that here before it does run to a new high. But it's working down, and again, that's just a first entry, and there's no close outside this channel. You don't get a high or low. You just trend back up here, close outside, move to a new high. If you had a really strong signal bar, I'd say maybe you could enter there. That's just too neutral. So you definitely have to wait on the lower high. And notice here it breaks higher, fails, and turns down. You could go short down here if you wanted, but I like entering this one on the engulfing bar because it breaks higher and turns down. If it goes out that side on the same bar, that's going to be a pretty bearish sign with this all having played out. So I like going short there. Most of you should ignore the engulfing bars though, but if you should know the rules on that by now. You need to be a profitable trader that makes money every day before you trade those. But you still could enter this down here. And this turns out to be a pretty good move. And you got this channel working down, close outside, move to a new low, but no setup. You get a higher low here, but I'm not crazy about that. I think it's too far up here. And it's a really big bar. It's 21 ticks. And you did get a close outside, so it could just turn back down and come back down again. So it doesn't. It actually runs up before it turns down. And these are all just first entries. You actually get a close outside and a new low here. And then you make one more push that fails and turns up. Now, again, that's an engulfing bar, but you can't enter on the engulfing bar. You got to wait for this to close. And you're probably better off to wait on a high or low, so I only mark that one green. But you could go long above that. Then you're just kind of working sideways here. And it runs up here and it breaks out, fails, and then it gives you a lower high, but I think you're too close to the lows here. With that being a lower high right off the key entry point, maybe you enter there, but you got this support down here to deal with. And I just don't remember how much room you got there. Yeah, so you only have a point. It ends up not mattering, but I think it's risky. But then you get the lower high. That would be the better place to enter, and you got plenty of room. Now, this would probably scare a bunch of you out, but you see it ends up going down, and you would have gotten out. And that's why I usually say if your read is good, which that's a good read, generally you're better off just to stick with your trade and let it play out and not let the market scare you out. You get a failed break lower here. No setup, but it reverses back up and goes right out the other side. And notice you get a close outside, move to a new high, and that's a second entry short. It broke higher first and turned down, so you could enter that on the engulfing bar just like we talked about the other one. However, I don't know if you want to enter down here. Does that close in the lower 1/3? It's close, but if you didn't enter this one on the engulfing bar, I probably would skip it. Because I think if you didn't, you end up with a losing trade too, maybe. Yeah, because so you only get a point before it goes higher. So you had to enter that on the engulfing bar, or you end up with a loser there. So you can see you get just enough if you enter on the engulfing bar. Get that 6 ticks, and of course it bounces a couple of times. And I don't think you can go long out of that congestion and little range area there. But notice you run up, get a close outside. You try to make a new high and you get a lower high there and a nice signal bar. I like going short there. And then it tries to test this a couple of more times and you end up with you get a triple test here, but I don't like that signal bar. I think it's too neutral. But when you get another test of it and it's a little lower high and it's a nice signal bar and you got room to get out, take that one. And you could have actually ridden this on into the 230 hour here. So it's a pretty good trading day today. Mostly up. And, generally I'd tell you don't want to be taking shorts in a big uptrend. But you can see this is a choppy kind of, it's not a real strong 45-degree angle. It's kind of a weak uptrend that's choppy. Although we pretty much trend up all day, there's a lot of sideways and choppiness. And when you get like that, I think on one that's not so steep, a channel that's not so steep, I think you're okay to take these shorts up here. I mean, there's lots of resistance at all these places just about. So, and you're turning down at off the upper trend channel line as well. Not that you always want to trade that, but in some cases like this one, I think you're okay. So if you're not sure, don't take the trade. But if you're pretty confident in your read, I think there's some good trades off the highs today. Anyway, there it is. Pretty good trading day. There's several trades that were easy to spot here, easy to catch, and you might have caught a runner on a couple of them too. So anyway, I hope you had a good trading day today. I hope it's been a good week for you. We'll be back again to do it Monday. Again, no chart lessons on Fridays, so won't be one tomorrow. And again, don't forget about if you're using the chart buttons, if you want to be able to color it, change the colors of it, there's a new version up now, version 5. So you can go download that and you'll be able to change the colors on this. Just remember you have to delete the old one first. So, or it probably won't work. At least it wouldn't for me. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it again Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.